As you can tell from the title of this video, this was a failed attempt, but how we got to the fail, that's what's important. For this challenge, there's some simple rules. I gotta live 100 days in ARK hardcore and not die. Death is unacceptable and for the weak. I would like to fight at least one boss and win, and obviously don't die. And we're off to a great start. We're on a beach with nothing but a mysterious pair of underwear, water, sand, rocks, dinosaurs, ominous towers, and a Bob Ross painting in the distance. We're going to make a bunch of happy little accidents. I stand around for so long looking at all the non-destruction I didn't cause, we gain our first level, and I immediately put it into the kill things easier column. I show some driftwood, some registered weapons, and begin to beautify my local beach from all the nature that occupies it. Trash in hand and some basic survival tools, I took to the depths to see what I could see. A manta ray was all that I could see, so I noped out and crawled back onto the land like the first ocean dwellers who held up their middle fins. Land prices being what they are, or more specifically, the lack of them, I started building a structure without permits, because who's going to stop me? Housewarming party over, I start to put all the gifts I gave myself down, got brave and crossed the water to the other beach, and by brave I mean more shallow and without manta rays. Checked my map, didn't know what I was expecting, I'm lost and the GPS in my arm only works one way. One unprovoked murder later, I set off to make my fortune. Saw some leash law violations and gave some tickets. Began construction of a noob cube because lack of property lines fueled my lust for code violations and lack of safety concerns. A fireplace on a wooden floor seems like a perfect way to stick it to the caveman. My appetite for violations even saw me stuffing my raw meat into a dark box repeatedly. Still not satisfied, I began laying pipe in hopes of making things a bit wetter. Almost through, everything had weird bends and angles, but it was worth it when things started to flow. Day 2 is a mystery to me as OBS decided it was going to form a union and go on strike. It wasn't much of a day, so I'll let the cave drawings tell the story. Saw a pterodon. Talked to it with my stick until we were friends. Leveled my Pokemon up and taught it flight, and we took to the skies to see what was around us. Got lost in a storm. The pterodon ran out of breath because of chain smoking like a fiend and sat down in a Sarco's mouth. Realizing the error of its ways, it took to the skies again like an airborne Titanic with a 4-pack-a-day habit. We hit not 1, not 2, not 3. Honestly, I don't really know. It was just a lot of snakes. The analogy falls apart at a lot of snakes. The dawn of day 3 had me a bit gun-shy as I spent the night putting up iceberg defenses after crying wee 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 all the way home with the sounds of hissing, screeching, and crunching fading from my short-term memory. Found another Charmander and tried to teach it to fly, but I'm disguised as an anchor made of meat and we just flap in the wind. I decided it was time to persuade some muscle into joining my army. With some sketchy pointed sticks soaked in meat and berry leftovers, I suddenly realized how bad of an idea it was when the Mack truck-sized lizard I shot starts running at me. And like a good neighbor without insurance, I performed a hit and run and hid out until the danger I created passed. Ask a turtle if he got the point, and put down more housewarming gifts. Seriously, I have a bunch of forages. It gets hot. Day 3 drawing to a close, I put up more snake repellent, a dog door, and I test the flame resistance of a nosy reptile, which my bird immediately took as the hot and now sign being turned on. Day 4 was a blur of day drinking, followed by my Pokemon's first flight. Things were going great until I touched the no-no spot, more specifically the wrong key, and dismounted mid-air. The ground never tasted so bad, or was it the blood? The concussion would fill me in at the morning meeting with Hangover and Associates. We tried again, and mild success was met with more endurance problems and possible chain smoking. Smoke break over, we set off into some fog and searched for what lies beyond my snake wall. Saw a movie poster and had to take another smoke break. Or break, because of smoking. I forget which it was at this point. Encountered our first datasaur and took a megabyte out of it. Several asthma attacks later, we found a local gangster sporting his colors and showed it my violence and drug collection to make friends, as legends require. My bird did an unorthodox interpretive dance. Not sure what happened or why the gangster bird died, but cannibalism helped cover the tracks. Had an even bigger flying asshole than the one on my bird's back. Checked out some new property because the HOA was getting a bit big for its diapers and decided against the rustic area because it was infested with more violence than I could personally make at the time. For the second time, OBS broke out into protest signs and formed a picket line because of the unsafe work conditions, and I missed totally not a deja vu of the Sarco and snake incident, but with more snakes, strangely. I managed to live by creating a bed and fast traveling to Megaton, or my pile of OSHA violations. Pretty sure an undetonated nuke trumps salmonella in my loose stone fixtures that I call a home. So I set off again in my underwear, this time by choice, to start putting things back together. Morale was high. I escalated things. Somehow I caught fire, or thought I was on fire, and while waiting for Tom Cruise to save me with his black magic, my Skyrim powers failed and I took a nasty spill. On the way to put out the flames of my mind, some compies forgot to check themselves before they wrecked themselves, and Wargoul had to regulate. Met a new friend that I wanted to show my rocks on a string, and another compy wanted a race with my revolver's bullets. My new friend got tired after the club and laid down. Got a text message back from my friend that they had a great power coma but couldn't remember their name. Said that was fine and told Waffle to follow me home. I began to worry as simple directions were not coming easy and they seemed a bit confused about what was going on. Later, back at the beach, my search for some muscle continued. Interview room set, I began the vetting process. I've never seen anyone so happy they didn't get the position. Applicant 2 seemed like a strong choice. They could face a problem head on and made some fair points. I've been on this job for 5 days, I know lots of things, and they exhibited knowledge that made my head spin. After some back and forth, they saw my point and earned themselves an internship. One text message later, I put their name on my phone wrong, probably on purpose. A great leader is one that inspires confidence and a desire to work hard. I like to ride my employees to make sure they're being the best of whatever they can be. Bonus, she's a vegan, so she won't be cooking fish in the microwave and stinking up the break room like some of her co-workers. My filing system is garbage, and I file garbage in my system. It's a vicious cycle. The intern's trip to the beach escalated into violence, and she had a disagreement with some old co-workers. Night came and went, and I decided that I needed beach access for my cliff. Much like my pipe, things started to get bendy and a bit weird. Erected some wood in the morning down on the beach, and after a lot of nailing and screwing, I could stop with the double entendre jokes.
I can finally build that lake house, and I'll run around naked all day. Ha ha! Dangly parts.
Tired of the water's smooth appearance, and showed it some bushy thatch, and dropped into a new tax bracket. Named it the Minnow, and got ready for a 3-hour tour. Day 6 was all spent making stone float, and it floated quite well. Asked a flyer if they would look at my bola and see if anything was wrong with it, and asked him to go to the club. Narcolepsy must be pretty common in these parts, as the little club seems to wear most people out that I talk to. One power nap later, they were ready to hit the club again, then promptly took another nap. Andy texted me and they were ready to go. Saw a free giveaway, then I realized nothing in life is free, and Raptors don't really have a concept of ownership. With the SS Muddy Rudder complete, I started loading the interns into the new office. Saw some more free stuff on Craigslist and took Karen with me just in case they had an old well in their basement. Sometimes another person's junk is just another person's junk. Finally, we set sail to the east in search of El Dorado, and I saw a fish who was having a hard time remembering what a fish does. An argument broke out, and I turned the boat around. Just kidding, I fucked up and went the wrong way. Had a quick stop because I thought I hit a dog. That was a bird. Put it down anyway. The interns got involved in a drive-by and proved to be more gangster than I thought. Tried fishing. Not bad. The gas station energy pills I picked up finally kicked in, and I could see me watching me watch me. We hit a restaurant that had a giveaway box, and one of those boxes with strange literature. I politely ignored it. Not sure how this even happened while we were moving, but it understood my point. Some Girl Scouts were selling cookies, but we said no. The property search was turning into a bust, and nothing looked good. No AC needed, but no heat either. This place is perfect. Plenty of office supplies, great parking, prospective new employees, and the scenery wasn't bad either. We must be in Florida, as a prehistoric creature is now in my car. I liked the ambition, so I offered it a job. Dave accepted and is now a part of my team. This hostile takeover was looking better by the minute. Tried to acquire a jet for the company, but a lot of red tape got in the way and I accidentally killed the deal. 9 o'clock and all was well until I spot a scooter's headlight. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but when you're the only human left alive, it raises concerns about sanity. I was worrying for nothing though. It's just something trying to eat me up. One involuntary nap later, I was fine though. Morning time, I began marking out the foundations of our new office. Sanford & Son would survive to see another generation in a new location. Day 9 was acquisitions and mergers, followed by laying the literal foundation of our new venture. Badly. Saw a private jet looking for customers and decided to send a tweet. After some intense discussion, we struck a deal. But in the business world, there's headhunters and people who don't like to take a hint that you're not interested. You sometimes have to take a hands-on approach versus letting your team help in the project. It's nothing personal, it's just business. While I waited for my check to clear, I got a message that Jet 2469 was now at the company's disposal. Went for some supplies and someone yelled, "Here's mud in your eye." It was more acidic dino spit than anything, to which I replied, "I think you have something in yours too." It was a spear. I appreciate good wordplay. Not sure what was happening here, probably a misunderstanding about who got to use the copier first that saw me bring violence to the table. HR wasn't going to like this. I'll file the complaint with myself later. At the same time, I saw a threat to my business and assets and decided to be proactive. I was in my underwear for some reason, but it worked out to my advantage because people don't want to fight with someone who's almost naked. There's a lot of loose ends to deal with. Dealing with applicants is one thing, but when you have a pushy person, you have to take drastic action. I'm sorry to say James no longer works for the company, though. Got word someone was messing with the jet and had to put the fire out. Finally finished the ground floor and took the jet out for a quick flight. I'm impressed. Sometimes problems keep popping up and don't know when to stop. Went off for an office supply run. My morning coffee will be replaced with insect murder. Then again, I'm 100% certain coffee doesn't exist here. At this point, it's considered stalking, but when reported, the authorities said that nothing has happened and to contact them if it does. I nearly hurt myself when something in an Easter Bunny costume came barreling toward me, only to defecate a technicolor turd and run off like nothing had happened. The prophetic Patrick Starr said it best.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
This was a problem that I had to deal with sooner rather than later. Then it happened. Much like my kindergarten teacher who had finally had enough of my shit, snapped. I tried to run, tried to hide, but nothing worked. It trashed my clothes and my life. I awoke several hours later, much how I arrived in life, wet, covered in sand, itchy, and a non-functioning Apple Watch strapped to my wrist. I somehow found myself at the door to my first office. Was this the afterlife? This thing was still useless. I managed to find the other office and set about trying to find some supplies to make it back to the construction/murder site. This place was locked up tighter than a miser's purse. Things were looking bleaker than ever when the spiritual fire returned and Tom Cruise only sent me a restraining order when I asked for use of his dark arts. Tried hiding under a tree so God's magnifying lens couldn't find me. Died anyway. No biggie. Just have to go out to day 112 now. After cleaning the sand out of spots I forgot I had again, the lens had found me again, but I gave it the slip. Then it happened. Sushi suddenly became the sushier. Susher. I got ate by a fish with a pathetic power level and didn't complete my first attempt at 100 days of ARK hardcore. If you liked this video, leave a thumbs up. Leave a thumbs down if you didn't. Drop a comment if you caught a reference you knew. If you're not subscribed and want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. It's completely optional, but never unappreciated. Don't forget, there are 2 Steam keys hidden in the video, and to take a screenshot of the redemption and tag me in it on my social medias for a shout out. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.